It's time for the shop report with Barbershop Jay.
What up, sports fans? Welcome to the Shop Report special presentation of the Turnbuckle. I, of course, am your host, none other than Double J, Production J, and Creative Control J. All great things. And we are going to first start the way that we should, which is none other than honoring the one, the only, Psycho Sid Vicious, obviously a legend in this game. And speaking of legends, I want to bring in my co-host, none other than D Gully from the CO Lum Bus.
Man, what is up? What is up? Double J, Production J, one half of the dynamic duo. How we doing this Monday?
It's going, and there's a lot to get into, and obviously. Yeah, as you know, as I pointed out a moment ago, as you folks can see a little bit in the background there, just as a reminder, unfortunately, we did lose a legend and someone that I believe will be, unfortunately, post-mortem. Yeah.
Yeah, should have been in the Hall of Fame. He should have been there already.
You tell me why. Is it the Arn Anderson thing?
I think the Arn Anderson incident is what's stopping it. But we've had, there's so much worse that is going on between other wrestlers in the back and legends, between guys that aren't legends. In the case of, let's say, Sid, he's not the legend that Arn Anderson is to the business, but Arn Anderson wasn't in his prime during Sid's prime, right? We know he has more prestige than Sid, but Sid was like charisma, right? We think of charisma. When we think of charisma, we think of it expressed in the way MJF, Seth Rollins, Chris Jericho, Steve Austin, maybe, or The Rock. Actually, Sid has charisma in the same vein that Steve Austin did. He was just like, man, you couldn't take your eyes off him. I'm gonna tell you, hot take, and it may say what you will about it. I was more as a child being, buying into pro wrestling. I was more scared of Sid than I was the Undertaker. He was and Sid Justice, Sid Vicious, even Psycho Sid. I was more actually like terrified of Sid and his on-screen persona than I was of the Undertaker. Because I really felt like he was a dangerous, big, imposing guy. I mean, he had the look. He had everything that Vince McMahon would have wanted in a superstar. And he actually had good mic work. He actually was a great worker. And what we come to find out, in his retirement and the way he kind of faded to the back, lived a private life. He was really a nice guy, so to speak. So I've heard, I don't really know too many people who've had a bad thing to say about him. So it's really sad that he passed and he doesn't get the he doesn't get the appreciation or the admiration that that the Hall of Famers get or the legends get once they've retired from their in-ring career, in the talk circuit, in the podcast circuit, in the Hall of Famer reunion, collectives, you know what I mean, to bring the guys back. He wasn't a part of that, and I think that's a failure of on the business, but truly a remarkable guy. One that for those who really watch, for those who watch and had a passion for wrestling, you'll never forget Sid. You'll never forget him.
You can't. I completely agree. It was someone that you could love to hate.
Yes.
And it was someone that as I had gotten older, I continued to appreciate more because I got to watch him get booked in ways that really exposed how talented he was. And
yes. Yeah.
And as we know, those limitations could really, especially today, they be, all it takes is one botch, right? And you got a label on you.
Yep.
So for someone like that, I will make this point from just my own personal takeaways. I felt like no one could book him better than Paul Heyman did.
Right.
And it was just that the ECW period that he was a part of, I think impressed me the most. Some of the matches that, those crowds were legendary as is, but there were just certain pops that you just felt were so authentic.
Right.
To know that he was, of course, involved in some of those. Again, just under short notice, right? I wasn't expecting to do this today. I think it was just, I got to appreciate him more as time went on. So it's unfortunate that we have to do it for this reason rather than what should have already occurred with.
I'll put it this way, and I'm gonna peel back the curtain on what it is that we do. Sid's, you could say a loss. His family really lost him, but no one's really lost. No one's really gone forever. They live on in the hearts and minds and memories of those that they love and those that they are that they've impressed. But the reason why I want to do this is because I'm fascinated with the business. I would love to have the opportunity to be able to, to talk to these guys, right? You know what I mean? That's one that I'm gonna miss. So my passion for growing the platform and growing the platform and talking wrestling in the way that we do is so that way eventually I could get the, get to fulfill, boyhood dreams of talking to my heroes and my legends, and then perhaps maybe has a voice for those who listen to wrestling on a pastime, has a pastime, but want to have the same questions and the same, same questions and same curiosities. So this here, his passing, you may, say what you will about me thinking I'm overdoing it, but like that's one that reminds me, I want to keep going because I want to be able to talk to guys. Like I don't want other legends of mine to go on to the ether without us having an opportunity to be able to pick their brain or to give them their flowers while they're still here.
Absolutely. If there's someone, I would say maybe that's something we bring to the program, is someone that is maybe no longer being kind of looked at, that's gone kind of under the radar, right? We've had a few opportunities, whether it's one of the Steiner brothers or where, for a roundabout reason, we get a chance to a glimpse at them on camera or something, and it just sparks kind of our memory. But I would say I'm absolutely all ears for if there's someone that we think is maybe a Hall of Fame snub.
Yep.
And we can, use the platform for the right reason, which is to, maybe give them their flowers while they're still here.
You know what? We need to work on that. We got to call it. Yeah. We got to look at that list. We got to look at who's not in yet. And I think in the show and definitely in the comments, comments our fans, if there's a talent, there's a wrestler whomever it is that you feel like should be in the Hall of Fame, but isn't, let us know and let us know why. And and let us we'll think about it. That's a worthy discussion. Like who are the snubs still? You know what I mean? We got the snobs that are in and shouldn't be in. We'll talk about that at another time. But hey, I like this business, so maybe not. But then we have the snubs, right? We got the snubs. And, we want to talk about that because I mean it's a Hall of Fame for a reason, right? These guys are in the Hall of Fame, the famous, famous talent, our heroes of yesteryear, they colored our memories, right? And they color our memories. They feel, they're part of our nostalgia. Let's celebrate them. You know what I mean?
Can I ask you this? Do you think what also could be the why is just the limited? This is something I've always struggled with, and it makes sense because you brought it up as it pertained to Ric Flair. And for a different reason, but you were like, hey, you always remind me, all those promos he cut, they weren't with WWE.
Right.
Do you think because his WWE tenure was not that long, even though it was so many, I guess, now subsidiaries?
He had two of them. And he had two of them. But that's the thing. He had two tenures with WWE. And both of them were good. One was better than the other. I'll put it this way. Listen, The Undertaker's second WWF World Championship came at his expense.
Right.
What better talent to do the job for The Undertaker than a guy as physically imposing and a persona as big as Sid's at the time? Who else could have done the job? Who else could have done the job in 1997? Right? Understand, Bret Hart was preoccupied with Steve Austin because that was right. But who else? Who else would you have wanted? Who else would have qualified the Undertaker's winning that title for and knowing that he was going to go on and run with it? Who else would have been better to book for that? Kevin Nash had already gone.
Right.
Razor Ramon, Scott Hall would have already gone. And now understanding that, okay, the talent pool was limited, but it was Psycho Sid. Like he was a phenomenal presence. People say what you will about his promos. I think listen, there could have been a whole lot worse. I've seen a whole lot worse promo work from guys that were better booked and didn't hold it, or guys that really weren't great on the mic. I think his promo work is probably better than the Undertaker's. No, I'm going to stand on that. I will rewatch a Sid promo before an Undertaker promo.
You're not going to hear me say otherwise, especially right now. Which leads to my final question.
Yep.
As it pertains to Psycho Sid.
Yeah.
You brought up one certainly very memorable match, but what is the best one?
His best match?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for what you
gave. I will say this. I don't think there's really a wrong answer because this is subjective. But you already threw out names that I was like, oh, is he going to take it? Is he already going to take it and run with it? And I haven't even said it.
Yeah, no. You tell me, what was his best match?
There's a few, and I couldn't pick, but the ones that stuck out to me, HBK, Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Obviously, we talked about Survivor Series in '96.
Yep.
I would say Brett versus Sid. That was in your house, I want to say. And then this one, I rewatched the War Games '91, where it was Four Horsemen and versus Sting, who obviously made a reappearance the other day. Speaking of legends,
more later.
right.
What did Jim Cornette say? What is Jim Cornette famous for?
A lot of things.
How can we miss you if you won't go away?
Right.
Please don't sue us, Jim Cornette. I'm only saying that because there's no simpler way to say it, but go ahead. We talking about Sid.
Right. You see, you're gonna throw off my train of thought because you know where you say Jim Cornette and you know exactly where I want to go.
Right.
But we're not gonna do that right now. So I don't know. I would just say that the HBK Royal Rumble match, it works for me.
Yeah. And that's it. His phenomenal work as a big with smaller guys.
Only a hand. Dude, until you just said that, and you have a fantastic way of pointing that out. There's certain dynamics that were so pivotal to the growth of the brand itself taking steps into the directions that they were looking to go. Right. And then all of a sudden you stumble across this and you realize, oh my gosh, this guy had played and he gets overlooked. Like, I'm telling you right now, if you were to go find the show, one of the shows on A&E, Rivalries, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You'll see HBK in Taker.
Yep.
You'll see Brett in insert guy here.
Yes.
But right in the midst of that, he was there.
Yeah, he was there. He's probably as overlooked.
Dude, how do you omit that though?
Agenda.
All right.
I can't say he wasn't average. I don't think if he's not average, and we know he has great work with smaller guys, which was rare, particularly in the Vince McMahon ran world where bigs were always were big, and he wanted to go smaller. He was the transitional guy to help that happen, help make it convincing. So if he had great work with smaller guys, he was pivotal and he had a framework. Like, what else could it have been other than what else could it be other than agenda?
Oof. Well,
we have other things on our agenda, but
right.
But he deserves. But yeah, he deserves more conversation. And you know what? Now that he's gone, I'm firing up.
I won't entertain the Bray Wyatt versus Sid getting in first. I ain't doing all that. So,
pause.
Oh, you are all right.
Yeah. Bray Wyatt better get in before Sid if they don't go at the same time.
What?
Bray Wyatt had better get in before Sid.
You just went.
I know.
Not today.
Here's what I'm saying. Because here's what Sid is underappreciated. Sid is really
on this program.
But no. But understand. But Bray Wyatt. I think Bray Wyatt has the admiration, even now, that we wish Sid would have. Bray Wyatt, he has it. He for whatever reason, maybe in light of a guy like Sid, seeing another big body, and another character in that way, another presence. Maybe there were missteps from leadership years ago with Sid that they didn't want to remake, so they capitalized on it with Bray Wyatt, in the same way that I feel like the Lakers mishandled Kobe Bryant's later career in such a way that with LeBron James they don't want to mishandle the legend again. So he's getting a different side of the Lakers franchise. He's getting a different look and different respect from the Lakers franchise than Kobe Bryant got. in his later years. And I think
Is that
by comparison,
that's like survivor's guilt from Jeannie Buss?
perhaps no. I'm willing to stand on that. Yeah, I think it is.
So where is that here?
We're talking about a big guy who was underappreciated as a talent.
But that's
remember,
where is our Jeannie Buss? Is that Stephanie McMahon that's going to say, okay, now it's time to make it right?
I don't think it's as literal as Jeannie Buss, Stephanie McMahon, but we're looking at executive leadership then versus now. You see what I'm saying? Executive leadership then versus now. We've seen this before, and we don't want to replay that again. So I think Bray Wyatt he got the effects of them not wanting to dismiss or miss another charismatic figure for whatever they say his limitations were. Remember, there were knocks on Bray Wyatt. You know, he was a great wrestler, but remember there were criticisms about that. You know, if you had
the
to
Husky Harris days.
Yeah, if you have to critique, right? If you have to critique somebody, you know, everybody ain't perfect. So if we have to critique where he struggled at, you know, athletic in-ring ability may have been there, or perhaps it may have manifested itself in ring psychology. Like, no, he's athletically gifted, but does the Fiend really do this in a match? Does Bray Wyatt really do this in a match? That sort of psychology. And that, I think, is where Sid had that. I don't think Sid as a big, he knew how to move as a big. He didn't try to go outside of that, but he still played well with others.
Well, I think we got cut short as far as Bray Wyatt goes. I think he would have made a phenomenal guy in behind the curtain.
Yeah, who? Bray Wyatt?
Yeah. He would have been a natural in an executive role.
Yeah.
But with that being said, as they say, then now forever.
Yep.
So
he's one of them. He's in the forever.
We will see, and we will be returning right after this break.
I'm Jordan Gudeman, and I'm the founder and CEO of Eddie G's Cookies. I was first diagnosed with a nut allergy when I was young. At the time, there weren't a lot of labeled items that said if there may contain nuts or there are nuts in the food, so my brother and sister and I baked a lot at home, and we enjoyed treats from mixes and things like that, but I noticed that it was not the same as what my friends were enjoying, and I started making up my own recipes. When it was time to pick a career, I decided to start a bakery so I could share my treats with everybody else. When I started creating my recipe, I was taking in all the things that I thought I was missing out on. A soft, chewy center, a crisp outside crust, and a taste that is just like it came out of the oven at a bakery. When I put all those things together, I had come up with a recipe for a dream cookie. Eddie G's Cookies only uses the finest ingredients. We have all natural flavorings, no preservatives, and every cookie is made in a nut-free environment. The best part about Eddie G's Cookies is that they can be delivered right to your door. You can share them or not. We won't tell.
All right, and just like that, we are back, and I wanted to touch on a few things. Of course, we got some AEW talk, and well, that leads right into our next segment, which is Tell Me You Did Not Just Say That. And it comes from this exchange with none other than Ricochet. So again, no, we're not going to read that part of it. Golly, he walked right into it. I specifically said just leave that part out.
I'm sorry, bro.
So again, I'm not in control of the handles, or they do not reflect anything of the show itself.
We ain't gotta say it, right? We ain't gotta say it.
So I love Ricochet. I don't watch AEW, but I'll be watching them highlights for sure. Ricochet replies, which is always nice on Twitter. I'm conflicted with this. So if you love watching me, then why won't you watch me at AEW? Just so you could say, I'm not watching that? Serious question. Gully, serious question that has been seriously somewhat proposed on this same show. What is with the nobody's there crowd? I'm not watching this. Look, we in the Monday Night Wars era watched both.
Yes.
I frequently.
You took the thought. I remember I said pre-show, I wanted you to ask that question, but you took the thunder, right? Yes. You go ahead. You got it.
I often reference the Mick Foley champion pre-recorded, like a barbershop J 4-point play.
Yeah.
That took the whole audience away.
Right. That man told them what happened. And they left him.
And I love Bischoff.
I think that's what got him fired. It took some time, but like, he told them.
Like I remember saying to myself, like as a young teen, like the way that his hair just went gray, like you just could see like his stress level was electric.
Yes.
And
oh gosh,
now to find out after watching, Who Killed WCW, like no, it was never like this dude was using, Rogaine or Just for Men or something.
Right.
It really was because of how stressed that dude was.
Yeah.
And understanding it, he couldn't escape it. He had to deal with Hogan, who at least he was probably popping bottles with in the back.
Right.
And, it was a good escape.
Right.
And then, the home life wasn't fantastic.
Right.
It wasn't terrible. I'm not going to, kind of go there, but just the business aspects and then the creative aspects, he had his hands tied. There was nothing the poor guy could do.
I mean, no, there was plenty he could have done, but here's the thing. There were poor decisions that he made were exacerbated by the fact that he was also on the other times handcuffed by an executive, by a board who didn't have any interest in the product.
Both boards. You got to understand that once Ted Turner lost his own company, basically lost in the way of getting rich by merger, but he basically was. I hope I never have to feel that feeling either, because Turner was Eric Bischoff in his own company.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to understand. When it really went south, it was because Turner had to ask permission from AOL Time Warner.
Right.
It was no longer just, hey, I get the executive decision if you're able to get a hold of me because I'm a wrestling fan. It was, no, we have shareholders now. It's a public traded entity. We don't care. And then, oh, by the way, what we're going to do is move our losses from other areas into your brand. Dude, they were sinking it.
Right. Yeah. It was the Batman movie that got shelved.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They shelved the movie to show a loss, so that way they can hide other losses and be like, oh, it's the movie. We shelved it. We'll write that down. As far as this goes, you hinted at it. Did we really choose sides in the Monday Night War? I mean, when I say that is, yes, people was like, WCW, yeah, WWF, yeah. You had your favorites, but from 8 to 11 for 83 weeks, that TV was mine in the house that I lived with my mother. Okay. She paid the rent, but that TV was mine. And I had a Maxell super long play, so it could record 8 hours. I had 8 hours worth of matches and footage, just rewriting, recording. Yeah, we had our favorites, but we never really picked sides. Like there was never a week where I was like, man, I'm just not going to tune in to WWF Raw. I was like, oh, this product, so NWO is it. But then when Austin started, when Austin 316 became a wave, and really when DX really got going, once DX really kicked themselves into high gear. Oh yeah, I was watching both of them. To his serious question, I can see how he feels some type of way. I'm still the talent. What does your brand allegiance do for you if the talent that you'd like to see is somewhere else? As if you get paid by tuning in to WWE SmackDown.
So there's a saying out there that I use, which is loyalty one way is stupidity.
Yeah. Yeah, in Columbus, boy, it's a whole lot of Buckeye. Never mind.
Oh, too soon.
Never mind. Woo.
Man, we see a rock come through that window. Then
right. Nope, I'm on location, bro. They can't find me.
Oh, okay, all right. So.
Yeah, so
I'm a little perplexed by this because this is where it's slightly different generation, right? We were fortunate enough, but here's the thing though. This is one of those unique circumstances, as you pointed out. You could have been ride or die, wearing the shirts, one of the brands, and
believe me, bro, it was way too many t-shirts I had. I cut the sides, I cut both of the sides in and wore it like X-Pac did. Or wore it like Six did.
Yeah, right.
I did. Yeah, it was so much of that I did. But again, exactly. I wore it like Six and then X-Pac and oh, you didn't know? Like I was going back and forth.
Tell me that was not one of the greatest intros of all time,
bro. I don't even know why I like dude, but that was it. Oh, you didn't know? Like, man, you come down the hallway in between classes. Right. Call somebody. Man, we did that. His intro. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Generation Dixon. Oh, man. Yes. Like, it's in your mind, bro. It's part of your psyche.
I was possessed just there moving.
Yeah.
That was not me.
And I was not a fan of him as a wrestler. I was not a fan of him at all.
You talked about good booking a little earlier and that type of thing, but obviously he's still affiliated to the brand currently.
Yes.
And his counterpart was still going strong. I think he left his boots in the ring though. I want to say maybe a couple months ago.
Man, but have you seen him?
Well, look, I'm not envious. Hey man, if you could pull that off, great.
I got to get to the gym. Like to look. I mean, he is still in that type of shape. Like you feel like he still. It look like he. Hey, listen. It look like he can get a run at the Intercontinental title.
Why not?
Right. He look like he can have a run at the United States title.
Stop it. Stop.
Hey. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. He look like he can have a run at the TNT title.
We're not doing this.
He look like he can have a run at the FTW title. Right? Right? That Billy Gunn doesn't. I mean, I'm just saying.
So we have a lot of folks, right? Again, your loyalty appeared to be one way.
Right.
And as you pointed out, you had made proper accommodations to be able to catch both programs.
Yeah, correct. Because it was professional wrestling that I was I was the biggest fan of. Right. It was professional wrestling. So I could have, poo-pooed WCW, which I did for a while after the NWO just became overpopulated with half the roster and there was nobody left to really pose a threat. After Goldberg, I mean, really, after Goldberg, Sting was always upstairs somewhere, and it was just Goldberg and Piper and Flair. They just kept getting their butt whooped. Like, why do I want to see this?
And here comes Bret Hart from backstage. So wait, what am I doing out here?
Right. You're like, why am I going out there? Like, what? Oh, Bret Hart, he's funny, man. He was hilarious, man. He's like, what are you going
But no one could call you out for it then.
No.
We're in an era now where people can know what you watched on YouTube.
Right.
So it's like, oh, man, you talked all that smack about AEW and you're watching nothing but, it's featured.
Right. Right. You know what? What I wonder is, does Ricochet, is he asking her or is he asking for himself? Like, is there in some respects some type of contemplation, like, yo, did I really make the right move for me? Because if you've got fans, I mean, they said it. Now, this is one fan, not all of them, but this is one fan who said that I'm not going to be watching it. Now, whatever their reasons are for not tuning into AEW, it sounds like for whatever reason they don't like AEW. I don't know why, but it isn't like, yo, you know what? I can't watch on Wednesday, so I ain't gonna see you. They didn't say that. They was like, oh, I don't watch this product. So there may be a sizable contingent of people that think in the same way that they think, and they just not gonna watch it because they they're all WWE, and that's kind of peculiar. So I wonder if Ricochet is kind of wondering that since he charted his own course.
I would agree with you. I think he's asking that broader question, which is why do we feel compelled right now to have an allegiance to one versus the other?
Right.
Because, and I'm going to follow that up with right away. We had this in exchange. Again, I don't think she was trying to diss you, bro. I'm paraphrasing. I think it was just that maybe AEW isn't for her, but she likes you enough to keep up with what you're doing. But she doesn't like me enough to watch my actual matches, just enough to only watch the highlights.
See, that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he's asking for him.
Well, I do too, but I think it stems from that broader question, which is, again, AEW is not for her. Why?
Yeah, right.
Why is the one for you, but the other is not?
Yeah. What did AEW? And that's interesting to me. Like, what has AEW done as a product to tune people off?
Well, flag our content was for me, but that, that's all right. Bygones are bygones.
Hey, man, they had to do what they had to do, bro. I count that as damage control. Like, you did that because you was embarrassed. That's how I feel. Like, this didn't work out the way you thought, so now you just you snapping at any. Think about it like this: the bully try to bully somebody, and the bully get embarrassed to get dogged. So now he's striking back at everybody that laughed. So that's why I feel. That's why I'm like, all right, it is what it is. It's the nature of the content era that we are in, and the content ownership and distribution. It's par for the course.
But just in your respect to that question, can you answer that? Why, or will we see a paradigm shift? If so, what will it take? Right? Because we've seen John Moxley, we've seen Bryan Danielson, we've seen Christian Cage, we've seen insert former name here that has a following, that had success on one program, go to the other. I've stated that we as fans are, in many respects, are spoiled and need to take advantage of this because of what we lost at the conclusion of the Monday Night Wars.
Right. I just think it's I think it's colloquial or a cultural a status. I think it's just a status symbol to suggest that AEW ain't it yet. And so it's going to take something like Shane McMahon showing up, becoming a voice. Oh, now AEW is legit. It's going to be the same product, same personalities, if you will, that and the same talent that we know exists there, but something's going to legitimize it, and it'll go off like a light bulb, and somebody said, now it's a legitimate product. I don't know why. I think it's just because it's like Shaq could never make his shoes cool, even though he did everything to make those shoes quality. Produce them in the same factories, sell them for cheaper so that way they were affordable, but they were Shaq shoes because it was $30. So you're not buying them. Or they were Hakeem shoes because it was $30. So people not buying them. Or they were Starbirds because it was $20. People not buying them because they just not what we say it should be. If it ain't WWE, it's not true mainstream product. That's what it is. And it just, for no reason, it just exists that way. Because and that defies the logic of the statement, because AEW to me is more grounded in wrestling than some of these stories that, even though we kind of enjoy, it's a bit preposterous in professional wrestling. We're dealing with a weeks long love triangle. Like Daddy Dom is cool. I can, in one respect, like it's cool. That's points, but like, bro, it's professional wrestling. Like I don't watch MTV. I don't watch the Real World for a reason. I don't watch the reality.
Cornet. All right.
Yeah, yeah. I don't watch. That's what I'm saying. I don't watch professional. I don't watch those shows. I don't watch reality TV in that way. And admittedly, that could be walking a thin line, because we've seen the love triangles become matches. I mean, Edge, Matt Hardy, right? Before that, Kevin Sullivan and Woman, right? Miss Elizabeth, Randy Savage. We've seen it play out in a sense, but I thought we saw a lot more. I thought we saw much more grounded in wrestling than the weeks-long episodic. There's a disconnect for me. AEW doesn't seem to drift very far from their central core product, which is wrestling.
So you're suggesting that the modern fan is more, say, Double J Russo style. More vignette, match, other cut, quick.
Yeah, they seem to be. It seems to be because
Interesting.
Like I said, I want to see more. There are personas. It's professional wrestling. There's the suspension of disbelief that you have to have in order to watch the product, sure. But the idea of it is, what I'm seeing is really going on. What I'm seeing is wrestling going on. Like, I don't watch those TV shows. I watch action movies. I don't watch reality show. I don't watch Love and Hip Hop. I watch Equalizer. I don't watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Okay? I watch Law and Order. I don't do so much of that. I watch things that have action in the plot. So, and that's just me and my particular tastes. So when I'm watching a product that's supposed to be grounded in action, I'm much more apt to dive into the Wyatt Six and what they're doing inside a professional wrestling ring to Dark Gable, or then Liv Morgan toying with Daddy Dom over Rhea, even though has a guy. Yo, my man's winning. My
Hey,
man's
look,
winning.
I was not changing the channel when, remember, we had a particular train type that may or may not have influenced my decision to go to Purdue.
Right.
And we also had guys like Val Venus,
Right.
who had some very edgy scenes,
Right.
if you will. I mean, that was Jenna Jameson. Don't Google, kids.
All right. Right. We did not see it.
I didn't say that. Just the actress
Yes.
was on there. Again, you can see the Vince Russo aspects of it.
Right.
But you could see that that's what made, as we pointed out at once upon a time, that the B program started beating the A program.
Yeah.
Are we starting to see that again? And now it is. I get clips from Cornette, right? Every now and then.
Right. Right.
And where he is authentic, his authentic self, and rips certain aspects of a program to shreds. And and that's why unapologetically I will always appreciate that, whether I agree or disagree.
Right.
But is it really that cut and dry? Are you trying to say right now that AEW actually has the better wrestling product?
It's closer than people think. Yeah. Again, it's certainly more grounded in that. And so if people can understand that AEW is more grounded in its wrestling than I think WWE is, WWE has afforded themselves the ability to present the product that they do because of the strides that they've made surviving the Monday Night Wars and what they've built on. But I mean, what's Booker T's promotion called?
That's right.
Yeah, it's called Reality of Wrestling.
Right.
You think he got skits or vignettes or anybody in the back at his shows doing what they're doing? I recognize that it may be a breeding ground or a training ground for developmental talent for them to graduate and move up to the major programs. But seriously, it's called Reality of Wrestling. Do you think he's got threesomes and love triangles going on with his talent backstage, even for the sake of presenting the product? Nah. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, he don't have that. I don't think he does. And AEW doesn't have it. They've got their mystique. They've got their mystique. They're supernatural. They're chaotic. But these guys are actually talented wrestlers that are wrestling to advance the plot of their wrestling show. Not necessarily, not so much the antics. I mean, they got a lot of titles, as we'll talk about here shortly. They've got a lot of titles. I think that's one thing that I think me and you got a little bit of a difference on. But I don't know. Would you agree? I mean, that's a lot of AEW got a lot of belts going on.
I was going to ask you about that because I haven't seen. You've heard me say bring back some belts as it pertained to WWE in a WCW ode, if you will. But
yeah,
is that the closest you've seen to that?
Yeah, of course. That seems to think that they seem to think that it works. But what do we say about boxing?
Too many.
Yeah. Right.
They got one for the Monday champion. I think I'm at first in line. You might be. Matter of fact, I might be right behind you on the Tuesday champion. So
listen, I am the number 3 contender for the IBF Super Tuesday welterweight interim championship because the regular championship is held by Terrence Crawford.
Vacated.
Yeah, right. And that's the Tuesday championship. You know what I mean? Like to be an undisputed champion, you know, I would tell you, I think it would be cool. You've talked about this before. You know, John Cena's got a belt that he never had. So does Cody. If you could remove the stipulation that, you know, what if the Ultimate Warrior, because I think he was the first to unify the belts.
Mm-hmm.
What if the Ultimate Warrior was able to simultaneously hold the world and the Intercontinental title for a purpose of, hey, you know what, you're required to defend this belt at least once every month, or you know, once a year, and you can play into that. But why not? I mean, think about it. If I'm not mistaken, Shawn Michaels was at one time the world and European champion at the same time.
I remember.
Right.
Unless
so
it's a Mandela effect or something.
No, I thought he was both the world and the European champion at the same time. So it could work. I mean, he didn't. I don't even know how he lost the European title. Did he vacate it or? But I think he had them both at the same time. I know he's the first Grand Slam champion, but I believe it's because he had both of those belts at the same time.
Well, and that's what, as you highlighted, that's what Cody needs as far as the U.S. title, and then John Cena, I believe, with the IC title or something along those lines.
Yeah. So, if you have an Intercontinental title, but you also have a U.S. title, I think it's long overdue for them to return the European title, considering the sizable base of their fan base. You know, WWE being a global product, right? Having a European title can fit. It can fit in this world. You know, it gives Sheamus something to do.
Oh man. I do want to get to this lastly, because this is worth noting too, because you asked, was it the right move? So of course, Ricochet had time today. Because you know all about Brief, Mr. Speed. Wait, why is being a champion a bad thing? Plus, I hate to say it, but more people watch those matches than one of yours. Don't worry, I'll change that for you. What say you to that?
So what he did was he didn't argue the point. Instead, he tried to, in my opinion, try to infer another point. Talking about the short matches. But he's like, no, I'm a champ. So when it being a champ, I mean, at the risk of restating what people could read, the point is they were questioning the idea of the short matches, not that you were a champion. But he took the position of, oh no, I'm a champ. Like when did being a champ become a bad thing? But they were arguing.
We got breaking news in the sports world that Michigan is supposedly going to get the hammer. That they've been notified of the allegations and they are going to get the hammer, which would include 3 years of vacations. And which would mean Purdue would be the Big Ten champion from 2022. So am I to then say a champion is a champion, as Ricochet did?
No. The Big Ten, they're not going to retroactively make Purdue the Big Ten.
Of course they are. You can't forfeit the thing and then not the other guy win. What is this? Is no different than the speed champion right now.
No. If that's the case, then Vince Young was right.
What do you mean Vince Young was right?
Vince Young was right. Huh?
The steakhouse that they filmed the Real World in? That one?
No, Vince Young was right. He should have been the Heisman then, if you're gonna take it for Reggie Bush. He should have been the Heisman.
Right.
But no, you can't do that. Like this whole idea of vacating invalid. No, you can't erase history.
They're not gonna give it back. You can't give it back. I mean, look, for Reggie Bush, sure. But they're not going to say, dude, the guy was wearing the freaking.
How do you vacate?
He was on the sidelines like this,
bro. I don't
wearing
care.
The nose and the funny glasses.
I don't care. Like this idea of vacating, forfeiting, taking your bet. I watched the game. It happened.
Well, they were cheating.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they were cheating.
What?
It doesn't matter. You cannot. No, you cannot undo what you saw. Like, listen. My favorite.
How do you know that was an accurate representation of what would have actually transpired had they not cheated? You don't know. So the only thing to do is to then give it to the other party.
My second favorite boxer in my lifetime is Miguel Cotto. Okay. Margarito put the brakes to him. He cheated, yeah. But Margarito put the brakes to him.
Right,
and in the fairness, what Cotto was able to do was take revenge on it and punish the guy, which is what he should have done. But to say that Cotto didn't get beat because the guy cheated, we're watching a contest happen live. We cannot undo that. Like the whole ceremony.
He cheated.
You cannot say, well, it didn't happen.
No. I don't think, and this is where, again, you're taking clearly the stance of Ricochet here. Where, again, a champion, he's saying, regardless of if it's 30 seconds or 30, or a 60-minute Iron Man match, they count the same.
A champion is a champion, right? If there's
however, if they cheated, right? If the brass knuckles came out, Logan Paul, if the ref sees it,
did they see it at the time? No, they figured it out later.
But what would Triple H do retroactively if forced?
You can't retroactive. Listen, if anything, I would say, look. If anything, I would say, well, you can't. You gonna bring all the players.
I will wear the T-shirt just like he wants to wear the championship belt.
Yeah, you gonna bring the players back and say, yeah, let's do it again.
No, we're not doing any of that. It is by default because this was not played fairly, and because you are now being punished for your crimes. Iowa wins the other championship. Purdue wins the other championship.
They didn't win. I'm sorry.
Well, they're the only other team there. So if the one is now invisible,
that's
retroactive or not. If you wanted to put them back together, they're not allowed to show up. So yes, they would win in a landslide. That
okay,
is
you know what? You know what?
There you go.
You know what? Nope. You know what? Where's Doc Emmett Brown? Where's the DeLorean? Where's the flux capacitor? And where's Gray's Sports Almanac? You give me those 4 things, and then I can tell you, all right, it didn't happen. Other than that, we saw what we saw
now, like it did then. Remember that?
Okay,
Biff had it, and it changed.
Yes. So Biff don't got it right now. It can't change. We cannot unsee what we saw. Now, what can happen, which certainly should happen, if in fact you figured that they did cheat it, is like, listen, you know what? What you've done, because we can't punish the past, what you've done. All right. Hey, I'll give you one better. How about this? You said that Michigan's forfeiting what?
According to this, all right, I'm going to read it. The 2021, 22, and 23 seasons will be vacated.
All right.
This includes all wins, all 3 Big Ten championships.
Okay, pause. All
right.
Why can't you vacate their losses?
Well, in one case, they didn't lose.
No, in the cases that they lost, what happens to those games?
Well, now for those that have forgotten, at least in the 22 season, I want to say, they apparently TCU, I believe it's who it was, caught on that they were stealing the signs and actually flipped them, and it worked against them. And that's what led to the blowout.
Okay. So they lost the game, right?
Well, in a blowout fashion, yes.
What you gonna do about that loss? how are you gonna punish them for losing?
Well, I think it already goes without saying.
No, you can't. It doesn't go without saying. You saying they're gonna vacate the season? All right, what that means? That means their entire season, the record don't count. So if they were historically 939 and 920, they're going to be. Or let's keep it even. Let's say Michigan's played 1,000 games. They've won 1,000 games in their history, and they lost 900 games in their history. We're taking the 50 games between the 3 seasons. They're now going to be 950 and whatever, right? Is that what we're saying?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? What does that mean? I saw it happen.
We benefit you.
We were there. We were there. We, as fans, we saw it. We were there. The tackles happened. The hits happened.
Well,
the
sure.
passes happened.
Again, we both know. Look, hey, this has been for any gamer out there. Okay, when we didn't have a choice back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had to use pillows. We had to use
cardboard.
Whoa.
Whoa.
In terms of trying to split the screen.
Oh, okay. Whoa. It's 11:06. I didn't know. Whoa. Cut the commercial. Hold on, bro. Whoa. We had to do what? That was it.
Hey, I don't know what you were doing with the Dow pillows.
Oh, so, all right.
I want to hear about no extra butter on the popcorn, like
right. No parquet in the refrigerator. Right.
Anyway, the shop report.
There's no lids on the there's no lids on the lotion. No.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
What it do, sports fans? It's your man BSJ from the Shop Report. And guess what? The shop is now open for business, baby. If you're on Facebook, go to our fan page, The Shop Report, click on more, and then shop to view all products. Or if you're on Instagram, click on the shop tab to see all our products. I mean, what you want me to do? I'm selling merch here.
All right, and just like that, we are back and trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
So simply put, do you agree? Was this truly a career move? Obviously, people are taking shots at the type of champion he was. If so, is that applicable? Right? Are we going to take a shot at Cody Rhodes for being a U.S. title holder?
Clicks and likes and sarcasm and cynicism is like one of our. I think it's a brand of humor that's truly American, right? Sarcasm and whatnot, but it's a real jab for the sake of you're not really saying that you're really trying to get the joke or the like or to get the response or the reaction from the collective, but you're not really considering that you're really taking a shot at your target, right? You're punching the guy for everybody to laugh, but you're not really considering that you're hurting somebody. You know what I mean? You're punching somebody in the face. This is what I think a lot of this is happening. Ricochet is actually he's actually catching strays because what's happening is he's being picked on for the purpose of them getting a rise out of saying something else. I think he is thinking about it. But not to say that he like panicking or whatnot, but I think he's giving some consideration to the idea that the AEW product is not viewed the same, or perhaps his move for his career legacy is not viewed in the way Daniel Bryan's is or Cody Rhodes is. And that, I think that probably, people can be mature about it, but I think that probably makes them feel some type of way.
Well, yeah, I mean, hard to argue that. And speaking of, I bring up your predictions from the other day.
I was pretty good last week. I was pretty good.
Now, the only one we know for sure that was a mistake on my end, of course, was with Hook rather than Jericho. You had picked Jericho.
I picked Jericho to win that. Yeah.
Right. So, but the others, we pretty much had agreed that they were pretty accurate.
Yep, pretty accurate. When you watch wrestling, when you're a fan of it,
go ahead and gloat. Here's your time to shine. Here, I'm just gonna take myself.
No. Oh, come on back. There you go. Come on back. No, when you watch it long enough, and then you start to understand what it is about backstage, if you will, or you start to try to think you understand that, then occasionally, broken watch is right twice a day. This is one of the days. So we'll find what the second day is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, solid picks across the board. I was incorrect with you on the Jericho Hook pick also. So I will own that.
Credit to Jericho, right? Credit to Jericho.
You know, what's really interesting about that is, you remember we talked about, Cody Rhodes was kind of shooting strays at Edge.
Yeah, the number one red flag is I'm just here to help out the younger guys.
Well, dare we say there's certainly an indicator right there that someone may actually be doing that.
Now, see, I think it's because Cody Rhodes was there with Jericho. So there's authenticity in an aging veteran like Jericho helping to develop an entire platform. And then Cody Rhodes being a guy in his prime, in his peak, wanting to showcase that he's capable of being top tier. Whereas if he took that shot at Edge had been gone for a while. And Edge couldn't find his fitting at his familiar stomping grounds. So he's going to come to somewhere else. He's going to come somewhere else thinking that his persona and his presence would allow him to take advantage, allow him to flourish again. So that's why I think maybe Cody Rhodes called Cap, but you wouldn't do that necessarily to Jericho, because effectively they kind of helped to build this enterprise with each other.
I did want to read this to you. Brian Danielson says that AEW All In was, without a doubt, the favorite moment of his entire career.
Whoa. Not even winning. Wow. I wonder why. He says without a doubt. So he says that from emotion, but why would that beat him actually winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania in the way he did it? Or by extension, doing the job to Kofi Kingston.
See, that's what I'm wondering. There's something more, obviously, that needs to be unpacked from that.
Yes.
And he's on record and talked about the rivalry, right? And think that at one point that was an episode a season or two ago. And
good rivalry.
with Triple H.
Okay.
And just kind of that feud that they had.
And we talking about like are we talking about like real like backstage heat between the two?
Well, they indicated that there was to some extent. And there was some, I would say, throughout, if you get a chance, for those that watch in the comments, definitely, you know what I'm talking about. But and I'm sure that you guys would agree that there were definitely others that really had it, and it brought out the best of them.
Okay.
But they wouldn't have been able to sit in a room together for very long.
You saying others that had heat with each other?
Like it really, really, could boil over and may have in some cases. This, on the other hand, it seems more mild, but it seems like there was some authenticity to it.
Yeah, I feel like the booking was a key indicator of that, because in that year before Daniel Bryan got that title, there was the match. Didn't he have the match with Randy Orton?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And he ended up, coming out without the title. There seemed to be at a point where you can kind of tell that, all right, there's part of this that's part of the show, part of the program that they were running with each other. But then after a while, it just always seemed like, oh, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one, where you set it up that if he eclipsed this one here, here's the payoff. It seemed like it was set up that the payoff was going to happen. Then all of a sudden there was something else. And that to me was indicating like maybe they weren't sold on having this guy be the guy. Like at a point where there was, okay, when Rey Mysterio won the World Heavyweight title, it was reflective of him paying his dues and what had been lost before. When Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit had done it, it was like paying respect to the idea that these guys helped to keep a sinking ship afloat and were truly talented. But okay, it wore off. We don't need a WWE guy to help do that. And that's what it seemed like. It was a way of saying, of rejecting the idea that, that he deserved to be a champion. Remember, they put him in the Wyatt family.
That's right.
And people hated it. They hated it because it looked like, to me, it looked like it was a legitimate way to try to steer the universe away from wanting him to be the champion. So if we put him in Siberia, people will lose interest in him and they'll sour on him. But what happened was he got Road Warrior pop when they figured out this ain't gonna work. People is not going for it. And so I think there was real hesitancy or reluctance to make Daniel Bryan the top guy.
I agree, and I think it extended beyond the immediate group. I think this has that Cornette Russo type of flair to it, that there was creative was in disagreement as well, which could really have made things uncomfortable. That's anybody that's ever been in a bad work situation knows exactly what I'm talking about, where it's just like, all right, you got to really exhale, and like, I don't really want to talk to any of these people, and they're looking for a reason to get rid of me.
Right.
So
right.
I really do feel like that's what it was, that it had such a dark cloud despite the success. And that this one, on the other hand, probably felt like a complete 180.
And I wonder if
look how he's being celebrated right here, though.
I wonder if John Cena's remark helped to fan the flames.
What was that? I didn't hear that.
when he was feuding with Randy Orton
in like 2014.
Yes. And I forgot what the circumstance was that there were several wrestlers in the ring. John Cena, he got a penchant for being off the cuff. And feuding with Randy Orton, he grabbed Daniel Bryan and he brought Daniel Bryan in front of him. He was like, look, this is the guy. You see this?
Yeah.
This is the guy who worked for it. This is the guy who earned it. This is the guy who didn't get it because his daddy did. You know what I mean? He took real shots that I wonder how that panned out. I would love to hear how Randy Orton felt like that, or if they kind of knew that was coming. But I don't know if I wonder how that played out, because I'm thinking that something like that didn't help matters much, considering they were considering the idea of it is Randy Orton, John Cena, and they didn't want Bryan to be in that title pick, in or around the world, the undisputed title picture. And John Cena helped to further, interrupt their agenda.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you bring up that decade, because in those 10 years, right, we went from booing Cena, cheering Roman, booing them both. Now we're at a stage that we're going to be cheering for them both.
Right.
And just kind of, again, when you point out kind of subtle things like that, which was not subtle, I actually remember exactly that. And I really felt like that was, were they really ready for that or not?
Were they really ready for Daniel Bryan to be champ?
I don't look. You remember, that's at a time that Total Divas is out.
Mm-hmm.
That John's with Nikki,
right?
And of course, as you see here, Bryan's with Brie.
Yeah,
he had John knew what was going on.
Right.
I think there's. That's that. All right, that's I don't know. Someone can answer that kind of easy conspiracy theory, if you will.
Right.
That he went out on a limb, and what were they going to do? Fire him?
Right. Were they going to fire John Cena? No. Hey, that's Dave Chappelle smoking a cigarette at his at the what was it? What was that award? The Mark Twain Award.
Right.
Leverage. You know what I'm saying? It was leverage. Like he knew what the potential of that was, and I think it's because he had a healthy respect, of course, for Daniel Bryan, and I think he knew how to get under people's skin, he knew how to get pop for his pro. He knew how to do a promo that can really be effective, and I think the consequence or the fallout for that is people really wanted to see Daniel Bryan even more.
Right. And with that being said, we're going to take our next break, and then we're going to dive into another segment that Gully has no idea is coming.
SK Cunningham, and you watching the Shop Report. I'm Homie Diallo, and you watching the Shop Report.
My name's Chris Murray, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Oh, you're Jay Knight, you're watching the Shop Report.
Max McKee, you're dropping in on the Shop Report.
Barbershop Jay, Quentin Hines, Super Bowl champion. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm on.
Hi, I'm Mars Edwards from Mercury Stadium, and you're watching the Shock Report.
Hey, I'm Billy Butler, and thank you for watching the Shop Report. Hey guys, I'm Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Commander Brown, Detroit Rivers Mountain Training, and I'm watching the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Doug Flynn of the New York Mets. Well, a few other teams, of course, too. And you're watching the Shop Report.
I'm Matt Ramos, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? I'm Rajay Davis, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? This is Nelson Figueroa, former Major League pitcher with a lot of teams. You're about to listen to the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Howard Johnson. You're watching the Shop Report.
Hey.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, so welcome back. And so Before we go any further, I just do have to acknowledge that based off of the limitations of where I'm at, I do have to get my
1980s. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I had to get my 1980s album cover pose on for the show. You know what I mean? Relaxing on the floor, one knee up and the elbow,
It was giving me Michael Jackson.
Right.
What album was that? He's in a white suit.
Thriller.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Or you can say Lionel Richie. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, just know I've got 3 top 10 singles just off of this pose alone. If an album, if you hitting this pose,
you got some Rick James going on too.
Yeah, you got 3 top 10 singles for sure. You're gonna be on the chart. You're gonna be on the Billboard. You're gonna be on American Music charts for sure. I'm gonna be a nominee, in the 2025 Billboard American Music Awards. Just know when I'm hitting this pose, that's what's about to happen. So I just had to acknowledge that.
Well, I'm so glad you stay in that pose because I want to see if you can top this chart. Delete one return from WWE history.
Oh, one return?
Yes, sir.
That other one that you put up in the Discord was even better. Delete one return from WWE history. It'll be CM Punk's because it has a maturity.
Really?
If you're talking about right now, we saw the maturation of all 3 of these returns. We have not seen where CM Punk is gone. We can only expect and hope that he remains physically healthy enough to reach what we expect to see out of his return. But since it has not happened yet, it would be easy. I was so all right. Because let me break it down even further. Okay, let's start with Edge. Edge's return from such a serious injury to give us phenomenal programs of storytelling. The matches, the cinematic matches that he had with Randy Orton. In addition to his other body of work, was like, oh, cool. That was really great to see. Cody Rhodes finally ended the chapter, not the story, in my opinion. Hopefully, it's not the story, but the way this chapter is written, whatever. Okay, he left the Stardust and he became the American Nightmare, and he's delivering, at least on his end of the bargain, of showcasing that he's a number 1 bona fide champion. Roman Reigns was force-fed to us well before the fans were ready to accept him as the top guy. Booed to oblivion. Even booed The Rock in the way Rocky Maivia got booed before he became The Rock. And somehow, through perseverance and through excellent booking and promo and creativity behind Paul Heyman, became respected, admired, and loved. So that run, going from worst to first, going from heat heel to genuine face, is remarkable. CM Punk has simply forgiven and buried the hatchet yet, and he's having matches that haven't concluded any type of story yet. We want to see him. All right, we want to see CM Punk main event of WrestleMania. Is anything that he's doing right now itching anywhere close to that? Probably not. So if we're talking about a return from WWE history right now, it would be CM Punk's I would have to eliminate.
Are you sure?
Absolutely certain. Now, because like I said, we saw the results. What we see right now, we don't. I'm telling you, looking at the trajectory, it ain't looking so good. When these guys came back and they returned, they eclipsed the peak that they had before they left, or whatever it was, like, or they kind of matched it. Let's say, all right, so Edge, at his peak, rated R superstar. He was a heel champion that was loved, right? As much as he was hated. Like, he had, there was a great interest in what he was, people were buying when he was selling. They were picking up what he was laying down, in terms of what he brought to the business in WWE. Same for Cody Rhodes. People wanted, and they wanted, and they craved better of him than Stardust. And they felt, there was a great deal of empathy for how he was being packaged before he left, that his return eclipses how he had left.
One of the worst title reigns in history is better than what CM Punk's done.
Yep.
Which is nothing.
Yeah, right. Thank you very much, because it was a title run. Though we don't like it, it still was.
So now we're really siding with Ricochet. We're
Understand
really
this.
siding with Ricochet.
Yeah, if a champion is a champion, yes, because the whole purpose of it is it was supposed to happen when he returned last year. Everything was built for it to happen when he returned last year. Now, understand this. So he returned and he didn't get the job done, and we had to go an entire year for him to complete that chapter. Understand what happened. The Rock interrupted what we expected to see from him completing that chapter in a very serious way through on-screen feud and
no, we're not blaming The Rock anymore. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore because all of this, the downfall occurred post-Rock. Right now, the best thing that could happen is The Rock returning in order to just deflect even more away from this.
So you mean to tell me,
this American nightmare?
So I'm telling you that the title run leaves much to be desired.
I'm just going to remind you that Jacob Fatu and Tangaloa have more titles than Dusty Rhodes.
You need to cut the commercial.
You know what I am going to cut to is exactly what you wish for. Delete one.
I spent way much more energy trying to figure this out than I thought I would have. Delete one from history. All right, so listen, let's play. We're going to play a game, right? One of these things is not like the other. Do you realize there are two superstars that have no real connection to each other in this list?
No.
Shawn Michaels and The Rock. They were never in the world title picture at the same time. They were never even active at the same time.
Shawn went out begrudgingly when wait, who did he hand the title to? Was it Steve?
He dropped it to Steve Austin in WrestleMania 14 and 98, but he had serious back injuries because he effectively retired after that match. Now he came back 4 years later, but by the time he had come back,
that was when he walked into the press conference.
Yeah. So by the time he had come back, The Rock he had already done Scorpion King, and he was I think he was about to do Walking Tall. He was a part-time champion. The generation of WWE had changed because it was being handed over to Brock Lesnar.
That's right.
And Batista and Cena and Orton. So they never.
But wait a minute. But you don't get The Rock. Like, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, as you pointed out, the connection, right, with Shawn dropping a title.
Yep.
Shawn and Taker obviously have a classic match too.
Yep.
And
they have a few classic matches, and Shawn's title run and matches gave birth to Kane. And Kane's okay. So Shawn Michaels and his matches with Undertaker helped.
So you can't, but that's what I'm saying. You can't delete him because
who can't delete who?
You can't delete Shawn Michaels because if you delete him, there's no pathway in order for The Rock to basically get to where he got, because it required.
I didn't say deleting Shawn Michaels. I didn't say delete Shawn Michaels.
Go on.
it's a
Are you
hard
deleting the
argument.
Scorpion King?
If he was not there, you'd still have Austin 316. Because Steve Austin's because Steve Austin's biggest heels during his tenure were Triple H and Vince McMahon. And The Undertaker.
But The Rock was a part of the corporation.
Steve Austin's biggest heels, his biggest heels, or let's say most consistent heels, were Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. I mean, were Triple H and Vince McMahon. He did have 3 WrestleMania matches against The Rock. He's 2-1 versus The Rock. Austin 316, that era arguably supplants Hulkamania because in fact, Austin 316 was the next big wave after Hulkamania. If you understand what I'm saying in terms of, all right, we've got this one lightning in the bottle. We have this one electric program persona that represents the business, that speaks for the business, that is recognizable in pop culture, and it's recognizable in pop culture and helps tell the story of the business. There was Hulkamania. After Hulkamania, after Hulkamania, there was the NWO, and during the NWO, yes, there was DX as captivating as DX was. There was Hulkamania, then there was NWO, and right at the arrival of NWO, even though NWO has been for professional wrestling as it was, there was Austin 316. Austin 316 was around before The Rock had arrived, and it was already a wave, and it remained a wave, and it remains a wave to this day. The Undertaker is the phenom, right? Hate that he lost to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania because he's 21-2, but he has a WrestleMania legacy that is undeniable. He has a presence that's undeniable. He is recognizable in pop culture now as the dead man. Speaking on his run as the Undertaker. But you knew wrestling and you knew the story of wrestling with the Undertaker. Shawn Michaels is arguably, he's likely your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. He is your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. Shawn Michaels is. Matter of fact, most recently, Bret Hart even gave him praise. And he goes back and forth between taking shots at Shawn Michaels and praising Shawn Michaels. He does. He you know what I'm saying? Depending on
that's how Bret is these days.
Right. Depending on which question you ask him, he's either going to dog Shawn Michaels or he's going to give him an ultimate praise. And it's like, it's weird because there's no middle ground between the two. So I said all that to say, we know if you smell what The Rock is cooking, we know that The Rock came from wrestling. We know that. But if wrestling, if we're talking about professional wrestling, during The Rock's entire run, he had a 1A. Or if he was 1A, if he was 1, there was 1A. Or if he was 1A, there was 1. And it's the guy to the left of the picture.
So you are deleting the People's Champion. You're deleting the Bloodline. You're deleting potentially this year's Mania.
Okay. What do I delete if I delete the Undertaker?
Almost the history of Mania.
What do I delete if I delete Austin 316?
Oof.
If you delete Austin 316, you delete the saving grace that sustained WWF through the Monday Night Wars.
Not Degeneration X, not
No.
them driving to that arena.
No.
I won't take the DX slander.
No, I'm not. It's not slander, but Austin 316.
Dude, I'm going to struggle with this.
I
think DX is equally as pivotal.
They're not equal. They're not equal. They are important. But they are not.
Gave us the whole intro to the New Age Outlaws earlier on the same show.
I understand that, but remember, context is everything, and we're talking about what we're talking about the entire history. Listen, The Rock might have been my favorite, but if I'm remember, I gotta be objective here. We're talking about taking away their legacy. I can tell the story of wrestling, the eras. Austin 316 stands alone, independent of The Rock. It's not because of The Rock that Austin 316 is established. It is because of Austin 316 that The Rock was established.
The Rock did not need the Nation of Domination.
No, he didn't. You hear what I said. Austin 316 was established before The Rock. The Rock was legitimized by having a counterpart to the level of Steve Austin.
Couldn't you argue who's not listed, which is Triple H?
The problem with Triple H is we knew how he did it.
Oh, you're going there.
Yeah, I am.
How he did it?
But listen, it goes back to the curtain call. And I've said this before. When the curtain call happened, Triple H's career, he put himself in jeopardy and he didn't realize how. He didn't realize how much he had jeopardized by doing it, because I think he thought one thing and he found, FAFO. He had almost lost everything he was trying to, because I believe he truly has he clearly has a passion for this business. He has a passion for his career in this business. And he was about to lose that because he didn't recognize that at the time he arguably was dispensable. So he never wanted to make any decision of others to jeopardize his position, which I'm good friends with Scott, Kevin, and Michael.
Yeah, the click.
Yeah, I'm good friends with you. These are my friends. Hey, man, let's gather for this. So Sean could have been like, yo, we about to leave, man. Let's gather for this. Remember, because Sean's the guy in the company. Sean's the guy that they're picking to save this company, because with the other two, they're gone and they don't know about Taker. They need a guy. They need a face. Austin was there, but he wasn't there yet. Sean was the guy. Sean was the shoulders by which the company put. Sean was the one by who they put the company on his shoulders. Triple H, Paul Levesque was part of those guys. I don't think he made the decision to do the curtain call. I don't think he was like, yo, guys, let's gather for a hug. I think Kevin, maybe, Scott, maybe, Michael, maybe. They was like, yo, let's gather
Sean
together.
did.
All right, so let's say Sean did. Sean,
remember, this was when Sean was untouchable, and now he's ticked.
Right. So, okay. So here it is. I'm listening to my buddy, and they didn't even punish Sean. They didn't even punish him. The two guys that they did punish, they left. So who was left? Who was left to feel the wrath of Vincent Kennedy McMahon?
But you're missing something very big in this.
No, I'm not.
If
Not
there's
at all.
no curtain call, Triple H wins King of the Ring. You never hear the promo cut.
Okay, exactly.
There is no Stone Cold Steve Austin without the curtain call.
So are you saying that Steve Austin's legacy
could go because it shouldn't have existed to begin with? Bam. Mic
so
drop.
That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. But that ain't your question. That's not the scenario here.
I'm saying I know
you're right.
They could have gotten away with it because you have the star to the right that would have emerged. You would have been able to replace the guy on the left with Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Ah, okay.
That's where I'm going with it. So I actually know what essentially for a fact, right? Because of what was told to us by way of how that was supposed to be booked.
Right.
If it had gone, if there's no kumbaya in the middle of that ring, there is no Austin 316 says, I just kicked your what?
Right.
If you don't have that, you don't have the lightning in the bottle and you don't have the rest of that career.
But that's
None
not
of those events happen.
Right, you're right, because he don't have
You still would have had The Rock, who still would have been with the corporation, and guess what? Who were they beefing with simultaneously? D-Generation X.
But wait, no, but if his all right, so if the one gotta go, are you saying? Even though you didn't mention even though Triple H isn't here and this one got to go, I'm
eliminating Steve Austin.
You're still eliminating Steve Austin because of that hypothetical.
Absolutely. Because of now, here's the difference. Post, where we are present day. The reason I can't eliminate The Rock is because of what's happening right now and its direct affiliation to him.
So you would still eliminate Steve Austin?
Yes, because now you're impacting. We talk. It's funny in what science you're often looking at. Okay, if you were to travel back in time, any step that you take can rewrite history.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we know what the alternate timelines look like if those arms don't go up. We can easily say Triple H wins King of the Ring because he was supposed to. If that occurs, you still have the existing storylines that emerge. The only difference is who the competitors are. You could tell that Triple H was wedged right in between those two. And that was because he was always supposed to be there. Steve was every bit of what you said, the lightning in the bottle that just shouldn't have happened.
Well, okay, you heard it first. Double J said,
I love the beer and
this is what you do all the time. No. This is what you do. Are you saying that Steve Austin? So you're saying Steve Austin got to go?
And you're saying The Rock is your favorite?
Listen, I tell you this all the time. Right. My favorite don't got to be the greatest. I tell you this, my favorite rapper is Andre 3000. I'm not going to call him the greatest rapper of all time. I can't. A body of work that we judge the greatest rappers or we critique the greatest rappers on, he doesn't have.
Why? Because he was a part of a duo.
Right. Because here's what happens. If you say, for example, if we talk about the greatest rapper of all time, and I say Andre 3000, right? All right, people are like, all right, cool. But then if somebody say Jay-Z, what they'll do? Kingdom Come is slander. 444 is slander. Black Album is slander. They'll have a whole collection of works. Huh?
Blueprint.
well, the Blueprint 3 maybe. They'll have they'll people can list a whole collective album by which they'll say this is where he fell off. This album was trash. If I say Nas, they'll look at his period after I Am. Between I Am and maybe God's between I Am and
anything after Illmatic.
Well, that's what that includes I Am and Life is Good. You will have a collective body of work, an album, an LP, by which people will critique to delegitimize their claim as that guy at number one. Andre has one album. He has great verses and features, and he's a part of collective, but you don't call us. He would be the only guy that you call the greatest of all time as part of a group. That his entire career or a bulk of his career is part of a group. We don't call huh?
Lil Wayne.
How much of Lil Wayne's career was spent as part of a group? Big Timers. Was that really even a group for real?
Hot Boys?
The Hot Boys. Was that really even a group for real? How many Hot Boys albums were there before Lil Wayne?
There should have been more. That was unfulfilled.
So
went to jail.
Right. So lacking a body of work. See what I'm saying is because he lack a body of work. I can't say he got a bad album because he got one album. But
so everybody Drake is a better rapper than Andre 3000.
No, I didn't say that.
But you're implying that based on the number of albums.
No. What I'm saying is, if I call Andre 3000 the GOAT,
what about Kendrick Lamar? Isn't that his biggest critique?
Well, no, he has a volume of albums.
Does he though?
Yes, he has like 5 LPs. So what happens is, if I give you any other rapper to say they're GOAT, you're gonna list me 13 songs that tells me otherwise.
I just feel like we could poke that hole with all of them.
No, we can't. No, we can't
do that with Eminem.
No, we can't. No, we cannot. What I'm saying, except for Andre 3000, because he has one album. He has one, and then listen, all right, so look, if you put Ice Cube in that list, if you say Scarface in that list, you won't include, you can make an argument that, okay, he was with his Scarface's Ghetto Boy stuff was part of the reason why he's the GOAT, but then you also include his single LPs. And then if you say Ice Cube, you'll be like, yeah, his NWA stuff, well, he wrote all the NWA, so he might be the one that you can include, whether he is part of the group or a solo artist. My point is, you'll list a collection of works that constitute an LP to tell me to argue that this guy isn't the greatest. But every other rapper on that list, Andre 3000 cannot be discredited as the GOAT because he only has one album by which you can argue that. You're gonna you'll make an argument. You can make for anybody else. You can make a counter argument that you can't make for him because he don't have a collective body of work to do so.
But can I ask, as it pertains to Kendrick Lamar?
Yep.
And this is something that would attain to the broader scope as well. There's radio hits versus we here locally always had this debate that Eminem didn't really reflect the city of Detroit at the time that he was, I would have said, at his height.
Yeah, they even say that now, period. Yeah.
Well, right. Now it's like resurfaced, which is kind of interesting. Because at the time there was a local guy, Blade Icewood. I know that's the album I had.
Yeah.
And now he passed away around 2005, but that was really, there were groups like that were what you heard here, in it that was a radio, he was a radio guy. He was in LA.
Mm-hmm.
So with Kendrick Lamar, outside of, obviously now they're not like us, but you go beyond ADHD on Section 80. You go beyond, obviously, Good Kid, Mad City. You got a handful. Couldn't you poke the same holes with him and just about anybody for that matter?
No, I'm saying that the idea of it is you could. You're right. You can't do that with Andre because he doesn't have he don't have a volume of work by which people can do that. It's like you can.
Then why didn't anybody challenge him the way they avoided him?
Well,
right,
no.
Someone who was so outspoken with getting, the South has something to say.
Right, because he never had a. Well, I mean, he made diss tracks, but he threw them away. But really, who did the Outcast ever actually have a problem with? Or whoever actually had a problem with what Outcasts were doing? They were never braggadocious. They were never killers. They were always substantive. And had an ear to the culture. They never said that.
Dungeon Family was not Andre. That was Big Boy stuff. He wasn't a part of that, right?
What, Dungeon Family?
Mm-hmm.
No, he was there for it, but Outkast never positioned themselves to be where, hey, it's us and everybody else. Even NWA did that. Well, no, you know what? I might be misspeaking. NWA never really did that. Like, Outkast never positioned themselves to say, yeah, it's us and then everybody. Again, they weren't necessarily braggadocious, and they weren't killers. So they never said that, stepping to me is a problem. They never said that challenging me is going to be a problem for you. They had cultural substantive music that they said that, hey, look, I'm not the one to start a problem, but I'm not going to be but I will be the one to finish it. I mean, but that's anybody's. I think any self-respecting
his verse on "Walk It Out" is what I'm thinking of.
Who?
Andre on the "Walk It Out" remix.
What did he say? You don't know what they think of the now. I'm like my lyrics like Jerry Duty. You new to this part of town.
That is taking direct shots. I mean, it's shotgunning it. It's shotgunning it.
No, but it's hip hop
shotgunning it.
So no, it's hip hop. Like, it's hip hop.
Oh, come on.
So I'm saying, who was that? Who? Tell me. Who you think?
I feel like that was a time where. This is what I mean. That, and again, you're taking me in the Wayback Machine now, but that was a period of time where who was the greatest rapper was up for grabs, right? This is when, right before you had, right, Jay-Z's bowing out. You had Lil Wayne, who's claiming that he's the best.
Yep.
And you had, so again, his name was a part of the conversation.
Right. His name was a part of the conversation. And again, I'm going to reiterate my argument. My argument is that with Andre, you can't name an album that he did was bad. But with everybody else you name, you'll point to an album. Like, in any other sport, before a league or before a stat leader is recognized as a stat leader, they have to have a minimum number of attempts before their trends is recognized as stats. Right? You got to have a minimum number of games played before you recognize minutes per game. Have a minimum number of games played before you recognize games played. You have to have a minimum number of shot attempts before they recognize your 3-point percentage among the league leaders or what have you, right? One solo album is not enough to recognize anybody as the GOAT, because every other contestant for that crown has more than one solo album. And what will happen is, anybody who wants to, the people who think that Nas is the greatest, everyone who don't believe that Nas is the greatest will be like, Godson, everything. What did you say? Everything after Illmatic. They'll say that. And then for people who support that argument, they'll vibe with it. Yeah, you're right. Godson was this, Godson was that, and this album was trash, and the Nas album was trash, and the Nasir album was trash, or what have you. And he struggled to find a producer, and his production on this albums plural. If I say Jay-Z, Jay-Z ain't really do nothing. Reasonable Doubt was cool. Everybody like In My Lifetime, that was all right. Kingdom Come, that was commercial, that was a flop. 444, that was old man music. Albums that people will use to dissuade from the argument. Andre 3000 has one solo album. They won't include all of the albums that he did as part of Outkast, even though Speaker Box The Love Below was listed as Outkast. It was essentially 2 albums. That's why they have the slash. That's why they have the / between the titles. Speaker Box, Big Boy's first solo album for real, and The Love Below, Andre's first, only solo rap album for real. So the argument won't ever be made because he don't have the minimum requisite number of albums by which you can critique his collective body of work. And that's an argument that you make to everybody else except for him. So he did some Ric Flair type, hook and crook to get his way into the conversation without actually having an argument that you can make against him. But that's why I say he could be my favorite rapper, but I could respect if somebody can't call him the GOAT.
We will have to table that certainly for another day as well.
No, what we're not going to table is the fact that you removed Steve Austin from this list from a Phantom guy that ain't even on here, and you just gonna let that ride?
No, it's because
these four. I
told you why I could remove him, and everything else in the timeline. I could have Mandela affected this with an alternate timeline that there is no Austin 316. That's what I was able to do.
Nah, man,
you do that. You
pull Triple H out of the gorilla position, and you think that's just okay. These four, and what they've done, removing from history. These four, I told you, Triple H and I told you, Shawn Michaels and The Rock don't have history. The other 3 tethers do.
They are all tied together.
The Rock is 1A or 1 if Steve Austin is 1 or 1A. Meaning that if one of them didn't exist, the other could still be there. Meaning that if The Rock was not there, Steve Austin would still be the number 1 in that era, in the Attitude Era.
Right. But unfortunately, if you take him out, in theory, there is no Roman Reigns, there's no Solo Sikoa, there is no Jacob Fatu, and so on and so forth. In the present day, I don't see
little
rattlesnakes running around on SmackDown.
Okay.
There would be a gap in the bloodline that would have been a very big void.
All right. Okay. I think you're selling me on that one.
And because we know for fact, right? Not theory, fact. If there's no curtain call, Triple H advances past Jake the Snake and would have been the King of the Ring, meaning that promo is never cut. That iconic line is never said. And Austin would have existed, but would never have amassed the success that he did. And
how do you get to Austin? Yeah, how do you get to Austin 316 without the King?
He said it himself. He kept seeing the signs around, and it came to him.
Yeah, right.
If he didn't say that, if he didn't see that, and have the mic in his hand, could it have been said the following Monday night? Maybe. Would it have been as impactful? I say no. It could have had a pop, dude. And because of Triple H being there, you still get The Rock and the corporation. You still get the same feud that we're referring to. And if you were to somewhat replace, role reverse Triple H with a then independent, somewhat Stone Cold, who doesn't have a faction, I don't think he even remotely amasses anywhere near the success, even if he was semi-carbon copying some of Triple H's moves during those couple years. That to me now, really, like, just because of this circumstance, it gave me this weird clarity, because I was always confused on why Triple H was in the middle of all of it. He was always the third wheel, it felt like. And then now, because of this example, it becomes crystal clear to me, especially with that reminder that he was supposed to win the King of the Ring.
Right.
That they couldn't avoid what Stone Cold had become, but they had to still stick with what, to some extent, what their original plan was. And the only way that was possible was to keep the push going. So you had, like you said, his biggest competitors, strangely, were the same as Triple H's.
Well, I told you the reason why. That same curtain call. Listen.
No, it's 100% why. But I'm saying that curtain call is what propels Steve Austin into stardom.
All right. Okay. I see now. I can see how these are mutually exclusive. The curtain call it's what Triple H did in response to the curtain call, and you're saying it's what happened to Steve Austin that Triple H hadn't had. He in a sense, Triple H had nothing to do with Steve Austin getting that, because he was not participating. Right.
He was eliminated in the first round due to it. Yeah. But it is stated on other articles that Triple H was slated to win that King of the Ring. At that point, dude, even if his final match is against Steve Austin can't lose and then give me the mic.
Right.
It's not going to pop. It doesn't work.
Yeah. So Austin 316. Right.
Veil ceases to exist.
And
the rest of the timeline still fits, because the feud that we already had seen, which would later grow to become a star in The Rock and Triple H, which they did feud during that same timeline, but that becomes your true main events. There is no Stone Cold there getting in the middle of it with a Zamboni and or a Coors truck.
Right.
As iconic as those are, right? We know that that's the hard part of actually taking that out, because of how iconic those are. But the fact of the matter is, because we already know this is what was supposed to go down,
right?
The rest of those actually did play out. And the difference is, instead of that guy, the Rattlesnake, holding that belt, it would have been and remained Triple H. And he would have had the 2-1 against The Rock. Everything else keeps going. The handoff to Lesnar, the Scorpion King, all of that stuff still flows. It still goes. We still get the bloodline that we have today.
Hey man, I think you actually, I think you convinced me.
Well, I don't want to convince you. I'm merely portraying a little bit of fact.
No, I mean, listen. No, I think so, because I think, okay, Triple H wins King of the Ring 96. It's still 2 plus year, still a year and a half before. It's still a year and a half before Triple H would win at WrestleMania 14 versus Shawn Michaels. They are friends. They're going to play well together. Remember, that was one of Bret Hart's biggest misgivings about Shawn Michaels becoming the number one. It was like, oh, he's going to become number one so that way he could just win with all his friends.
Right.
Triple H would have been that. So Triple H certainly would have been enhanced by having a feud with Shawn and maybe becoming the number one if egos wouldn't have combusted into a beef between the two. But let's assume it didn't. Triple H, does he become a heel? Shawn is a face. Shawn is a heel, but he might become a face if Triple H is the next star. And Triple H is a bigger, but not a. He's not on the bigger side, but he ain't on the small side either. So he's a more probably palatable choice as a body, because that's what, physique is very important to Vince McMahon, and size and presence. Triple H has that. Certainly The Rock does, certainly Austin does. But Triple H has it. Triple H does have a persona, it does have charisma, does get you to like him or hate him or what have you. And he's safe on the mic. So all of that, I think, still does track. I would say, that's why I said, you're doing a good job of convincing me, because it seemed like the cards still align that Shawn Michaels and Shawn Michaels championship legacies, and Undertaker's championship legacy would defer, as they end up eventually doing anyway, to Triple H. But I think it would have been in a more meaningful way, because it wouldn't have been through how he made sure that he secured this place versus him and his work, and his work ethic remains the same, but it would have been purely because he won King of the Ring, not because of any other factors.
Exactly. And that's the craziest part, right? I don't. It doesn't mean I love the idea of that actually disappearing. I'm glad things played out the way they did. It worked out for everybody, right? So,
right.
We will take our final break, and we have our rapid fire segment, and our guests are Name That Superstar.
All right, cool.
Right after this, and then we out.
Cleaning the cracks on your pavement surfaces can take hours and be torturous on your body. Until now. Cracky Weed Removal Tool was designed specifically to clean pavement cracks in a fraction of the time, all while standing up. Cracky's patented design incorporates a two-sided steel blade and is encased by a durable fiberglass shell. Simply use the large end to clean big gaps, then rotate and use the small tip for narrow gaps. Made in the USA, Cracky eliminates weeds to the root and is environmentally friendly. Cracky, save your back while you clean your crack.
All right, and as promised, we are back. Our final segment of the evening is the rapid fire segment. So, Gully, as it sounds, I'm going to present to you a handful of matches, and you are going to pick a winner and why. Starting with, and these are all going to be Bash at Berlin.
All right. Undisputed Championship next Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Cody Rhodes retains the title in glorious fashion. Actually, in controversial finish. Count on some outside interference that won't ultimately result in that title changing hands, but it will introduce, I think, more of Randy Orton getting in the way of the title picture. But Cody Rhodes does retain at Bash at Berlin.
All right, moving right along.
Oh, yeah, because he got other business at play. I'm going to say that the World Heavyweight Championship remains with my guy, because I think he, at this stage, separate from the Intercontinental title, he needs a marquee win in order to validate his presence in the main event. And like I said, Randy Orton got other things to do. So, yep. Mixed tag, Ripley, Damian Priest. This thing will never die. I think it's true, man. Like I told you, one hand. And on one hand, hey, Daddy Dom is giving game, but on the other hand, like, come on, bro. Like, what are we doing?
Come on, D Cornette, make a pick already.
All right, man. Ripley and Priest.
And why?
They're due. Things are in chaos for them. They're independent. They are a collective now. How do you introduce a collective? Give them a name and then have them drop their first marquee match as that collective. What are they called again?
On to the next.
Yeah, on to the next. Strap match. Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. This is interesting here. I actually don't know which way to call this. I'm just going to go with my instinct. I think that CM Punk wins this match. I think it advances the narrative. CM Punk wins the match because it's an equalizer, whatever a strap match is.
All right.
Tag team champions. These fire. Okay. We need conflict between Bianca and Jade, and we're in September. They got to have conflict going into next WrestleMania where they wrestle each other. So count on them losing this match.
All right. And that will wrap up the rapid fire segment. We will come right back after this quick 20 with a name that superstar.
What it do, sports fans? It's your man BSJ from the Shop Report. And guess what? The shop is now open for business, baby. If you're on Facebook, go to our fan page, The Shop Report, click on more, and then shop to view all products. Or if you're on Instagram, click on the shop tab to see all our products. I mean, what you want me to do? I'm selling merch here.
And that's right. The store is open as always. And you know I wasn't going to give it to you just like that right there. Instead, here it is. Name that superstar.
Oh, wait. Zeb. Nope. Zeb Coulter. Hold on. Barry Windham?
Yeah.
Oh!
Better known as
the Stalker.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that even surprised me. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, Barry Windham. I would say the uncle of Wyndham Rotunda.
Yes.
Yeah, man, that dude look like he about to give me my whole oil change, and then he gonna throw in air pump or some Lucas motor oil on top of that. Look at bro. He definitely be fixing transmissions right now.
Well, it's interesting because he fixed something else, which was Triple H's attitude after the curtain call. He was one of the 3 men that Triple H lost to on Raw.
Oh, they really put, yeah.
He
they
lost to the Stalker.
Yeah. Wow.
Not his proudest moment.
Not his proudest moment, no.
Quick Raw recap before we run.
Okay.
We had, of course, dude, I said this last week.
Yeah.
We were talking about Dominic Mysterio and friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this evening, you're never going to believe this.
Oh, yeah. Hit me.
There you have it. I said, where's the LWO when you need him last week? And, well, if you ask, you shall receive. Dirty Dom did beat. He pinned his dad.
Again?
Yeah. Semi-clean. Liv pulled Dom out of the ring when he tried to kind of land a frog splash or something along those lines. And then Dom put him in a little bit of a hold there and pinned him.
Does Dom look like he's improving? Does Dom look as good as Logan Paul? Does he look half as good as Logan Paul as a wrestler? Remember, we are with this. Remember, the name of what we're watching is World Wrestling Entertainment. They've got the entertainment part, but the wrestling part.
My problem is this, dude. Like, the training ground, proving ground is not Monday Night Raw.
Yes.
And
you need some 100s for that.
I told you, I was joking when I said a week ago on this show, put them back together. And they really put them together. I mean, I get it. That was a feud that happened a while ago, but I feel like creative has they've hit a wall.
Why would you have Dom beat his dad on Monday Night Raw?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Other than, I mean, like, you know, when you talk about Roman pinning Taker.
Yeah.
That's a legacy maker.
And it wasn't.
Right. This, on the other hand, okay, you've now beaten this guy who's done all of these great things multiple times.
Right.
What that should mean, it doesn't.
Yes. You're absolutely right. Yep, I agree.
So I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Yeah. I'm not sold on. Like, part of me when Rhea and Priest, you know, whatever the Terror Twins.
Is that what they call?
Yeah, WWE confirmed it.
Wow. They're not who are they terrifying?
Me.
Who's scared of them? The Judgment Day isn't. They kicked them out. Liv Morgan is messing with her discarded boyfriend. She ain't scared of him.
Okay, so hear me out
lost
on
his
this.
title.
Here's what I'm going to shoot on, and it's the only way it works.
All right.
Make them feud again, but the difference is Priest, obviously Puerto Rican descent, since we have to go play that card here, joins the LWO. And Rhea
It's been fun, y'all, but we got to run. Check us out on YouTube. No.
Dude, I don't know what else to do.
No, you don't.
I don't know what else to do with them.
I don't think all right. So look, I don't like the idea. Well,
we got a glimpse of that in Puerto Rico, right?
Okay.
And that was obviously like what really springboarded Carlito's second run.
Yes.
Ever since then, don't get me wrong, like, he cuts funny, you know, his one-liners are his one-liners. They're great still. But everything else, it's like, you know, what am I doing out there?
Right.
The only way you can kind of, because clearly, I don't know why, right? This is just the way it's been booked. They continue to put these guys against each other. the only way you can actually have something remotely entertaining is to then have the others join them, because now it adds more. It adds something.
Hey, look, man.
Dude, I'm trying. You help me, creative control. D.
Man.
Cornette, come on.
Listen, I met Mr. Alva. Let's say in some twisted universe, you get the upper hand on Mr. Alva in a decisive way. How many times you think that's ever gonna happen again?
Oh, dude. Not more than once.
Now, if it happens twice, do you think Mr. Alva gonna keep trying to whoop you?
No.
Exactly. I'm not losing if I ever lose to my son, that's it.
Is it time for a retirement match for Rey Mysterio? Is it time for him to, if you want to add some fire to this, then make it a mask match, bring back the Eddie feud, with Dom, and have Dom take it off, and win.
Yeah, because while I don't think Rey Mysterio is ready for that, meaning I think he has much more to give still.
What are they going to do with him, dude? The LWO right now is just simply there.
It doesn't need to exist.
That's my point. It could be gone, and sadly, think about that for a second. Like, this is not low riders and anything close to what Eddie had.
Right.
This is borderline disrespectful.
Right. LWO, there was it's
if you're gonna put the two against each other, you built it up great the first time.
Right.
If you're gonna recycle this,
right.
Unfortunately, it's got to come at the expense. If you're really going to push Dom, then it's time for Dad to go.
Yeah.
Then, if you're talking about the death of the Judgment Day anyway,
right? Because
you want to resurrect the LWO to something,
right?
Then you found your new leader.
Yeah. Now, tell me, does he look talented enough to do that?
Man, you know what? If Jade comes back and wins that match in Berlin and looks clean like she has been, then I believe in Dom.
Okay.
Are we being too critical? Are we judging him fairly?
No. What's happening is it's unfair. It's unfair to him, but
he's hilarious, by the way. I saw him on Logan Paul's thing, and man, he went there.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Let's just say it has to do with Japan. And he went there, and Logan, you could tell Logan was like, Dom, come on.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna have to check that out after the show. But no, I think that he should have. I think he's too green for this. He should be like in a manager capacity. A lot of this works if he's a manager, if he's Harvey Whippleman, if he's Jim Cornette type.
That's progressive of you to have gender role reversal with him managing Liv.
No, I'm saying if he was just
this new age wrestling. No,
I'm saying if he was a manager, period. If he was like the valet, if he was Johnny Polo. You know what I'm saying? If he was like I said, Oliver Humperdinck, like if he was the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, if he was slick, if he was in a management capacity, then he wouldn't have his limited ring ability distract from his story. Like, he's beating his dad and he ain't nowhere near the wrestler his dad is. Not yet. Not to say he can't ever be, because I'm not one of those types to say, oh, he'll never beat it. No, he could certainly be, but he ain't nowhere near yet for him to be beating him, to get clean pinfalls. He's not even as good as Logan Paul. If you think Logan Paul can beat Rey Mysterio, and you say no, then why is Dom doing it?
Well, that's a great point. And that's why I wouldn't say that. I told you Logan Paul could beat Cody Rhodes. This rendition.
That's another story for another day.
So I'm at a point, however, that it's not working. Okay, we're gonna beat up the LWO, and then here comes the Terror Twins.
That sound like,
and now everybody run, even though it's 5-on-2. No,
and they haven't terrified anybody. They're together because they got kicked out. They ain't terrified nobody. And why would you call them the Terror Twins when you have the Wyatt Six that are actually terrifying people? Oh God, man, we gotta move on, bro. Yeah. Like, this is terrible. I hate it. I hate it for everybody involved. I really do.
Well, it's only gonna get worse from here. Here we go. That's why I saved the worst for last, apparently. Damage Control beats Passion Fruit Juice.
That name, who picking these names? Passion, that's the name of the group? Passion Fruit Juice, for real?
It's Pure Fusion something. Again, it's something that sounds like it's in the health section. It
do sound like Tropicana Make It.
Yeah, full of sugar. 2 days worth of sugar. Yep.
Right.
So you'll need, you have to check your blood sugar after. Nevertheless, as you see here, Zelina Vega makes her return.
All right.
And attacks Sonya Deville.
All right.
You got anything for that?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. I have nothing for it. I'm sorry. I have nothing. Let's see where it goes. That's all I got. Yeah. Hit me with some more.
All right. So speaking of your infamous Wyatt Six,
he looked like his brother, man. That gave me pause. Oh,
I told you when they did that cut scene with him in Adam Pearce's office.
Yeah,
I thought it was. And that, like, I've only seen that once, where it was like I was at a funeral and someone was driving, like an extended family member who had passed car. It was his brother. And
whoa.
That was the only other time I ever felt that way. And so I'm with you on that. But Bo Dallas says the Wyatt Six have given Dark Gable chance after chance, yet he's refused to move the scales from his eyes. Bo says that they must cut the head of the snake so that the blood can wash away the sins of the damned. And what Uncle Howdy does to Chad later will be a purge.
Whoa.
And speaking of people that you eliminated, Drew McIntyre says that CM Punk is scared of him. He keeps showing off that fancy bracelet of his. Tiffany.
How he scared and he asked him for a strap match where he can't run? You know what?
Which is why he keeps attacking him from behind. Pause. Every chance he gets. Pause.
Right. What is going on? Who is writing?
From behind. No, I ain't doing that. No.
Bro. Pause. Like, we gotta take a time out. Where the technical difficulties graphic, bro? We got
play it like the one like crappy flute version or something like.
Oh yeah.
Drew says what he does to Punk at Bash in Berlin is the fans' fault for enabling him. Punk, of course, then emerges from under the ring, of course, under, behind, anywhere,
hopefully, but not with a strap on his wrist. Oh God!
And attacks Drew with a strap. Oh no!
Oh,
I feel like I'm reading something else.
Yeah.
On a lighter fire or something like
that. Mayday, Captain. It's getting murky.
Get out of here, literally. The two get into a brawl before security separates them. Punk takes out 3 guards.
Whoa.
While Drew, of course, as you see here, leaves through the crowd. Is this getting any better for you?
I don't like the idea of a strap match. I don't like the idea of a strap match. There are very few gimmick matches that I tolerate. A ladder match is a gimmick match. A cell match is a gimmick match. Tables, ladders, and chairs match is a gimmick match. A table match is a gimmick match. But there's an idea of two competitors getting at it with an objective. A bull strap match, I'm not a fan. I mean, isn't that how Eddie Guerrero won the title from, or was that CM Punk? Or was that Cena that won from JBL? Wasn't Eddie Guerrero won a strap match to win the world heavyweight title? Something like a gimmick match. I'm not a fan of gimmick matches for titles. I'm not a fan of gimmick matches at all. For them to do this, okay, this helps advance the story. But
I knew it was, I, like many, knew it was happening because while we were live, CM Punk was live as well under the ring.
Yeah. What a strap.
Right.
Oh, boy. Very dangerous.
My thing is, obviously, these guys, Punk's in his pink shoes.
He got the Bret Hart's on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He got the Bret Hart lows. right. He got the Bret Hart mid twos on, right?
Yeah.
He got the Hitman Hart twos. Okay. Got it. All right. That's cool.
My only request.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been saying this, I feel like, since 1998. Can the security just find a way to get out of the way?
Man, it wouldn't be Raw if they did.
Just for once.
Yeah.
Let them out of the way. I feel like there was one occasion where my guess is that they were actual police officers and they were just caught off guard with how much force the individual was. I can't remember who it was. But I remember, like, the guy looking, like, taking a second look. What the? Like,
you're like, wait a minute. I signed up for the. Hold on.
Right.
Was it Goldberg? Was it Bill Goldberg?
You know what? It may have been.
It was Bill Goldberg?
Infamous.
Bill Goldberg.
This isn't football.
Bill Goldberg. Now I'm never going to forget that. He was really upset. With Bill Goldberg.
I'm telling you, if you have not watched Who Killed WCW, just to listen to those two clearly being told what the other had said.
Oh, yeah.
It's still not letting it go. And if anything, I mean, they fan those freaking flames.
Right.
And pour even more gasoline on it. Oh, man.
All right, so listen. If Bret Hart's healthy in this healthy peak, do you think he can win in a fight versus Bill Goldberg? Do you think if they really threw down like Booker T, Batista behind the Booker T, Batista, close the door to the locker room, give him 3 minutes? You think Bret Hart?
I think Bret would get his licks in. He's just got to survive the spear that he's already should be used to by now.
Yeah, I think Bret Hart might catch an L on that one because I think it's just because if he don't take that well, then it's over with. Because you're right, because you know what's coming because he's too fast and he's very strong. But Bret Hart isn't by no means weak. It's just that we don't see him.
But you said healthy. Meaning his agility should be able to at least slip a little bit of that.
Listen, Bill Goldberg is he was a defensive end. Like he coming off the coming off the corner.
He's gonna go right into those lockers and separate a shoulder.
If that's what I'm saying, but no, he's gonna wrap and tackle. Like I'm just saying,
when he played that bowl on in the China shop.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, all right, I feel like okay, Goldberg He definitely gonna bum rush him for sure. We know that's coming. That spear coming. Now, if Bret Hart know the spear coming, if he can get his hands up, I think he kind of like. I mean, shoot. I don't think Chris Jericho got an amateur background, but he was able to get that. I forgot whatever kind of arm locker he got on. So I think Bret Hart probably could. I think Bret Hart's a better fighter perhaps than Jericho. So he might be able to survive that. But I don't know. I think much as I love Bret Hart, I think if there was a real fight for real, or if they was like in the octagon, I think Bret Hart might be in some trouble because that intensity is unmatched. But then again, rest his soul, Kurt Hennig did get the best of Brock Lesnar, so I heard, on that airplane ride from hell.
I heard something along those lines as well.
Yeah, yeah. And they about it. I think people might say that Goldberg is faster. I think he looks faster because he's not as big as Brock. I think Brock is faster. I think Brock is faster. And well, Kurt Hennig is a collegiate wrestler too. So Bret Hart isn't. Bret Hart is he's a professional wrestler, but I know he know holds and stuff like that. I think that Bret Hart might. No, I think Bret Hart might cut your L if they had really fought. I think he might.
Yeah, I could make the case. Look, Bret being that mad though.
Yeah,
that's you got to remember. Like, yes, we got to give credit where credit's due, and that's why I'm not writing him off on this, because you're absolutely right. The more physical individual, but more reckless. Like, that's the thing. The Goldberg that we saw is who he was. I don't feel like it was real to Bill Goldberg. Like, that's the issue I have with it is there was no, like, he was legit. You know what he did to people in that ring, dude.
Yeah, he was stiff. He was notoriously stiff. But see, so was Vader.
That's true too. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So was Vader. Vader was known for being very stiff.
But you know what we see? Well, and this is why, speaking of Sid, you know, like Coco Beware is in the Hall of Fame, right? And he had, well, I'm trying to remember what his move that I remember like used to be pretty intense, and where he used to drop people, and so
was it the front? Was it that front face drop?
Yeah, and I feel like that was one of the rougher ones, and so that's why I'm like, if we were to rank those, because Sid's was up there, his comes to mind, or maybe just ranking the finishers as a whole.
Sid had the best. Sid had a better power bomb than Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash one was like, Kevin Nash's power bomb was like IDGAF.
Right.
That was Kevin Nash's, but Sid's was like Hulk smash type, like
right.
Yeah, his power bomb was like, it was like Kevin Nash would do it, and he would come as like he would start to hold you, but then he'd just throw you like just IDGAF, and that would be it. But Sid's was like, I'm gonna break your back. Like,
literally.
Yeah, like I'm trying to break your back.
Speaking of breaking things, we had our first qualifier match, which was main event Jey Uso beating Kofi Kingston and Karrion Kross to advance.
Oh, okay. That's how they're gonna wrap this up quickly. So, Intercontinental Champion, number one contenders tournament finals in a 4-way match. So the four, whatever, enter a fatal 4-way, and then a battle, Braun Breaker, right?
Correct. And what would have been another choice for, tell me didn't you say that? Rikishi is implying that Jey Uso should explore going to AEW to be a bigger star. Do you think him potentially yeeting his way to the IC title is?
Don't ever ask me that again. Don't ever ask me that again. The answer is no. Okay, based off the phrasing that you said to that question, the answer is no. no. Should he explore going to be a bigger star? At first thought, if I take myself down a bit, I can see what he's saying. I feel like, the WWE is kind of crowded for him right now. So yeah, his star power going to AEW would be a boost for him, but will his talent level improve? Because there's a lot of, to me, there's a higher concentration of great talent in the championship ranks, even though they got a lot of belts, because it's a smaller group. Like, understand what I say about wrestling, because AEW is smaller and they're still working to establish themselves as a true attention seeker, attention grabber from main WWE. I feel like they have the better concentration of talent. If Jay moved to that brand, does he match well with the talent that is there, competing for championships, competing to establish themselves as main eventers, as international draws, or as eventual WWE main roster talent? Like, does he match the talent level? Is he up to par with there? I don't know. I'd like for him to be, but I don't know yet. Nonetheless, it's an interesting thought that Rikishi puts forth. Right. No, I don't disagree. And I think it's to kind of hold people's feet to the fire a little bit, but right. Will he be satisfied with that? To be determined. Speaking of satisfied, Randy Orton had said that he's won many titles throughout his career, but his favorite was always the World Heavyweight title because it was the first he ever won. When that title was revived, he was happy. And when he returned to the ring, he made the promise to himself that he wouldn't rest until the new World Heavyweight Championship had his name printed back on it. As you see, hand on his heart, did you ever expect the Viper, who's a favorite of mine, there's a shirt up there that says, RKO, to be a face? We all love bad guys, and as we recognize that this is our pastime and we are getting older, inevitably you're going to become a face. So yeah, but Randy Orton being beloved as a face, let me phrase it that way. Yeah, at this stage in this career, yes. At this, because we know what we hated about him, but now it's implanted in our memory. So that's why we love it, right? It's because now it's like, man, Randy is capable of still being Randy, but now we're just so happy to still see it. Because now it's like we can kind of tell the story. Now it's like, oh yeah, I know what Randy's capable of. Let me share it with you through my eyes and see it. So him being beloved as a face. Now, I think perhaps your question does illustrate a problem. Like, how long can Randy sustain being a face? He's a viper. He's a snake. Right. And I think this is where to your point a little earlier, when you were doing the rapid fire, you brought up the possibility of something I brought up, which was what appeared at the time to be somewhat of an alternate timeline of me shooting on Randy versus Cody in that Batista Triple H type of way.
And so potentially we could get that, and to some degree it opens the door for John Cena.
Right. Bruno Mars. Silk Sonic. John Cena, yeah. So Randy finding his way to the title to then provide a lane for John Cena to find his way to the title. Are we talking about the WWE Undisputed or the World Heavyweight?
I think Cody is destined to end up dropping this title to someone. I think Randy is the obvious choice at some point, or it sets itself up where inside. And I haven't thought about it that far because now it's a little bit more complicated. But just somewhere, either there's some kind of exchange where John Cena, it ends up lining up for Cena versus Orton, and it would make more sense, again, if Cody was out of the picture, potentially for that, especially if the bloodline is going to go against the bloodline and have nothing to do with that title at all.
Which they shouldn't, which is correct. Yep. I like that. I like that.
And so, again, if that's the case, then we'll allow... I mean, personally, at that point, I don't know if Gunther somehow gets the other one, and then it allows, Cody versus Randy. Then at the conclusion of that, enter John Cena. And albeit right.
Whatever he's saying.
Well, maybe not at the end of that pay-per-view necessarily, but what we'll say is your number 30 contestant in Royal Rumble.
John Cena.
Yep.
Yeah.
Instead of Pat McAfee or something.
I see.
Then who does he pick? Well, obviously the title that he's been that one, or of course the more obvious one, and that's what's going to make it interesting too. Because which one is he missing to complete it?
Ooh,
John Cena.
The U.S. title?
No, that's Cody.
John Cena's missing the Intercontinental title.
Hang on, now I gotta find it because that's gonna bother me. Was never given what was perceived as the workhorse belt, the IC title. So if we're shooting on, like right now, right, we're talking about a fatal 4-way as a number 1 contender.
Yeah.
I mean, Mania is still a ways away here, but we have to start kind of drawing some.
Right, it's September, right? Yeah, we got to start
ironing this out a little bit.
Right.
Well, matter of fact, I'll just jump ahead here and I'll tell you who it won't be.
All right.
Pete Dunne has advanced. Butch.
Great. Exactly. So Jay Dunne. So now SmackDown got 2 matches.
Yeah, and we'll get to those here in a moment as well. Matter of fact, before we do, sticking with that theme, of course, Braun Breaker tells Main Event Jay to keep his name out of his mouth, as no member of his family has ever beaten up a member of Braun's. Declares that Jay will not be the one to do it.
Whoa.
That to me is a dead giveaway of who is going to win
right.
the Fatal 4-Way.
Yeah.
And speaking of those announced for next week, well, better yet, hang on, we'll just cover these two for the sake of doing so. Alba Fire, of course, and Isla Dawn say that they will expose Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill as the frauds that they are, and will walk out Bash in Berlin as champions. Obviously, you made a prediction a little bit earlier. I will remind you that those two only seem to win overseas. So does that scare you at all?
No.
Doesn't change your mind? All right.
Nope, don't change my mind at all. Nope. I'm
and
still on my prediction.
We did have a good one at least, which, as you see here, is Braun Strowman versus Big Bronson Reed. That ended in a double countout in which they continued to fight anyway, which led them to the parking lot. Rumor has it that they are still fighting. They've now moved over the fence into the grass from our last reports. And he ended up taking Bronson out with a tsunami on top of that car, which looks like hopefully like a Toyota, not a BMW.
Yeah, it's Toyota.
And I mean, these two, I'm actually enjoying it.
Yeah.
I proposed, Creative Control J says,
yep,
we need to have something along these lines where this would be, I'm shooting on, remember that ring collapse?
Yeah.
Creative Control J says those two cause one.
Yes, I'm here for it. They caused one with the referee on the outside of the turnbuckle falling over like he did when they did that at the Nationwide Arena. When at this time it was Mark Henry suplex the Big Show.
Right. Now, as far as, here's the thing, though. If you're going to go backstage and do that type of thing, I want Al Snow backstage. You remember that? Oh, Big Boss Man and Al Snow. That's a Google. That's a YouTube-worthy one for everyone. I don't know why I remember that vividly. I just remember kind of like, it inspired me when it came to even the video games. I was using that as my litmus test. And unfortunately, I was always, for the most part, pretty disappointed, with the exception of, what was it? SmackDown versus Raw 07? Which one allowed us to go into multiple rooms?
07?
I think so.
I think it was 07, yeah.
That was the only one that, yes, that I was like, okay, at least satisfied me a little, but apparently I should have been a game developer. Moving along, before we get into just the final thing, this is probably not going to be a surprise to you at all, but we did have a winner between Dark Gable and Uncle Howdy, and to the surprise of none,
yep,
Uncle Howdy was victorious, and I'm sure that the cat with 9 lives has yet one more.
Yeah. I want to see, was it great action? It's the question. You know what I mean? Like, in the end, we talk about wrestling here, right? I've been saying that this has been a recurring thing for me all day. Was it some good action?
From the bits and pieces that I was watching when we were live, I actually thought that Chad kind of was carrying it a little bit. I don't know what happened.
Hmm.
It's just.
Well, if he gets the win, Uncle Howdy gets the win. What does that mean for Gable? Yeah, where do they go from here? Well, he terrorizes them. We got to get to Survivor Series, which I'm planning for Survivor Series link up. And
right.
Yeah. And that'll lead to kind of like a face turn for Chad Gable. I think this is probably the reason why this is so confusing and whatnot. I think he was made a heel and couldn't get it done. So they had to quickly figure something out to absolve him of his heelness and then bring him back as face. But yeah, this is yeah, I'm looking. Stay tuned for that one when it comes to Dark Gable and we can't even call him that no more.
I know. Now he's again 9 lives.
Right.
Resurrection Gable.
Yes, the undead Gable.
There it is. There it is. Where's
anytime-
Paul Bearer?
All right.
When you need him. Yeah, so this is what we have at least announced for next week. I didn't see anything else yet. Again, this would be strangely, does this set up for Sheamus because of Pete and Pete? Who you got? Well, better yet, just you give me.
Yeah, who I got? Okay, so we got Kaiser, Reed, Sheamus.
Now remember, the 2 winners that they will be, one of these 3 will be joining is Pete Dunne, Butch, and of course Yeet.
Give me Bronson Reed to win it.
Well, that is, you got a why?
I think he's got the most heat right now. And when I say heat, like he's vibing, connecting most with the universe right now.
But I just feel like they're not going to be able to get away from what already happened, right? With what I was saying a little earlier. And then as far as Kaiser, man, he just lost all that momentum. Like the push was on. And he could go, but I just feel like they're going to, like, this is set up for Yeet. And so at that point,
it's set up for Yeet, but he still got to get through some people first. So if it's set up for him, then give him some legitimate competition.
I just feel like that's the how behind this, though, that you would, by putting Sheamus through, him and Pete are going to just cancel each other out, essentially. They'll take the wins away from each other.
Yeah.
And then whoever becomes that additional 4th at that point is merely just a sacrificial lamb.
Right. Okay. I see.
Therefore, setting up, like you said, a Survivor Series of Yeet and, of course, Steiner.
Oh, okay.
I love the Bronson Reed idea, though.
Because with Bronson, all right. So you figure Kaiser's there. I just, like I said, I feel like Bronson Reed's got the most. He can grab the most attention, and command the most attention, and then get you something to look at, such that in that fatal 4-way, it'll be like, man, can Jay survive this gauntlet, including Bronson Reed?
That's it, and again, I think that's where it's going to get interesting, because I don't think the way that Bronson Reed's match tonight ended in DQ.
Yeah,
I could easily see, all we're missing is a blizzard. that it gets interfered with. Maybe Pete comes and messes with Sheamus for reasons unknown. But Kaiser's formidable, and it'll be interesting to see who they shoot on with that. But any final thoughts from our program this evening?
AEW deserves a closer look.
Well, you know what? Actually, just as a reminder to everyone, I guess since you said it, I had it ready, but I'll just throw it up there. There you go. Just as a reminder that Christian Cage won the Casino Gauntlet match. And of course, Bryan Danielson won the AEW World Championship. And of course, Bryan's dad had passed away 10 years ago.
Oh.
There you have it.
Well, AEW, like I said, it's getting a lot more attention. It's giving Ricochet some pause because he's got to think of the path he's charting for himself, and also because what he does is it reflects and is viewed by his audience and his fans, and clearly he's receiving a indication that people are not gonna rock with you if you're on a certain TV show or a certain network, which is kind of silly to me. But nonetheless, AEW remains on notice because of the talent migrating there, wanting to prove themselves. It should be a bigger deal, not one to dismiss. So we're gonna see how I trust AEW will react to such a public display from Ricochet, and I anticipate them reacting positively and in a way that brings more positive attention to their product.
No arguments for me as it pertains to that. I will remind everybody, that infamous quote: "If you don't learn from history, you are doomed to repeat it."
Yes.
So don't close the door on the other product. Again, I'm shooting on hopefully something emerging with at least Shane O'Mac that might give that program a little bit more momentum. I definitely felt like after that meeting occurred, like we had talked about, there was a little bit of backlash. It was the first time I want to say that they had two shows running simultaneous.
Okay.
And I thought that was like a retaliation. Like it was like a warning shot.
Right.
So, but as always, if you want to see some real wrestling, then I, of course, will advise you to also follow. And again, for those that don't know, we, of course, will promote all of the other products out there. We're not limited to just AEW, WWE. There are things like, for example, Gem City, and of course, look at that right there, TSW Wrestling. Those are those old school looking promos.
Yeah.
And that one again is out in Jellicoe, Tennessee, in Corbin, Kentucky. So right along the border there, home of the original KFC in Corbin, Kentucky.
Yeah, original, right. I need that original recipe back.
Give me that. Yep.
Yeah.
But so if you have a promotion, I know at one point there was Fire Pro in Northwest Indiana as well. That's where I saw Rhino. That's who it was. If you remember Rhino from back
yes, Rhino. Yeah,
that's who he did a drop for me to give to Aiden at that point in time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's all right. That's all right.
I don't forget those things. So absolutely feel free on any of those platforms to tag us and we will absolutely show some love there. But anything from you, Gully? Lastly, final word.
Yeah, we got to play more. One got to go. We got to play more. One got to go. And I look forward to as we get closer to these pay-per-views, we get closer to the end of the calendar year. What we seeing from the products, what we seeing from AEW in particular, will step its level up. And really, I think the overall wrestling is in a healthy place right now. And that's thanks in no small part to the likes of AEW and what NXT and WWE is doing, but branching out to the other brands, recognizing that there are other universes. It's not a Marvel and DC sort of thing. It's more of a multiverse. So I think it's a good spot. Look forward to getting more involved with it as we keep going along. And you'll see more clips and all from the show as we get going on in future days. So thank you for rocking with us.
Absolutely. And of course, we are back on Saturday, hopefully with a little bit more energy and good night's sleep, because I know I got to be up at 5 hours. So without further ado, as always, if you really want to know what's going on in the shop,
come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome. Holla.
Holla.